Hey guys, it's Mr. Mini Painter here, and today I am painting Draco and Lucius Malfoy from the Wizarding Duels game by Knight Models. And when finished, they're going to look something like this. Now, as you can see, they are mainly black, and black can be a tricky color because you do not want to be using the same black. You want to make some different accents, and I'm going to show you how I did it with these two. So to start off, I primed my models with a light gray primer spray. I thought I was going to use contrast paints, but in the end I didn't. So I used Abaddon Black and Incubi Darkness as a base color for both models. And this way you create a nice bluish black, which I'm going to darken down a little bit further down the road with at least one of the two. So make sure to cover the entirety of the model. With Lucius here, I painted over the entire coat, the pants, etc., the undercoat, and the trim of the coat, I added some Fondia brown to the mix, just to make it look a little bit like it's a fur color. Is it a color? Yeah. Trim of the coat. You can see it by the model, and it looks very nice. It looks like it's a bit of a, a furry addition to the coat. Next, I took some Corvus Black and I painted both their shoes, so with Lucius and Draco. And I also took some Corvus Black and created some extra black layer over the coat and pants. I did not touch the inner shirt. I'm going to use another color for that. I used pure Abaddon Black on the cane, which is held by Lucius here. Make it nice and shiny, and you can immediately see the difference in blacks. I used Rhinox hide to highlight the furry parts of his coat, so around his shoulders and next to the edge of the coat, to make it look like it's actually an animal used in his clothing. It looks very nice as an addition to the black. Next, I highlighted all his clothing with Mechanicus Standard Gray. So I did some edge highlighting. I made sure that every part that is folded or faced upwards, so where the light would hit, gets a little Mechanicus Standard Gray highlight. You can build it up if you want by adding some Abaddon Black to it and do it in 2 or 3 layers. Next, I am using Administratum Gray as a highlight for the upper shirt and all the edges over there. As an extreme highlight to the previous colors. Next, lead belcher for the top of the cane, the head of the snake. And you can wash it afterwards with some Nuln Oil. There's some, I'm not sure if it's a brooch or whatever on this chest, the chest of his coat. I also added some lead belcher to that and shaded it with some Nuln Oil later on. For the face, I'm going for quite a pale look, so I'm mixing Kislev Flesh with Bugman's Glow to do the hands and face of both models. I am then shading it with some Reichland Flesh Shade. Thin it down just a little bit, otherwise it can be quite strong, especially when you're using a lighter base coat as we did before. Where you're using just pure Bugman Glow, then you can use a pure Reichland Flash Shade, I think, because the colors are quite complementary. But now I chose to start off with a bit of a lighter tone, and then you do not want too strong of a shade in the recesses, because it's going to look unnatural. So thin it down just a little bit, maybe 1-on-1 with some water, or you can use some Lamia Medium if you want. Then for the inner shirt and tie of Draco Malfoy, I mixed some Abaddon Black to Cantor Blue, just using a little bit of Cantor Blue, not too much, so add 2 parts black to 1 part blue to create a nice subtle variation of black. Gives it a nice dark blue tone, very close to black, but you get some different black tones this way. Back to the skin. Once dried, I applied pure Kislev Flash on the knuckles, the nose, the cheekbone, the chin, to give it a nice highlight. And that's it for the skin for this one. You can take it even further if you want by adding some Palette Witch Flash. For this one I didn't, because I wanted to have give him a little bit of a pale face, but not too bright, because they are quite dark characters. So for this case I chose not to add too much highlights. And the second reason I didn't do this is because they have very, very blonde hair, which we will be doing later on. Otherwise they would be very pale. I mean, this is by choice. You can do whatever you think is best, or whatever suits or fits your personal requirements when painting these models. So for the hair, I gave it a base coat of Karak Stone. I did for Draco as well as for Lucius. Be very careful not to touch the face, of course, because there are some very thin hairs here. And also for Lucius, I highlighted the hair with Screaming Skull, which is quite white and has a little bit of color in it. What I did here is just pick out some separate hairs and focused mainly on the top of the head and the front of the face. So with Lucius's hair here, I focused on the front hairs mainly and left the back of his head a bit darker. Now for a final highlight, I'm using Palette Witch Flash. You can build it up, but because the difference between Screaming Skull and Palette Witch Flash is quite small, I used it in a pure form, and I just touched the top of the head and the tips of the hair to create a final highlight. Same with Lucius, just focus on the front. With every mini you paint, you think of a direction that the light is coming from. So keep that in mind. Usually it's the front of the character, of course, but keep in mind how that light would hit your face or someone else's face in the same position, and then you can imagine where the light would be coming from. Then Lucius has some rings on his fingers, which I painted with lead belcher as well, and gave a little wash of Nuln Oil afterwards. Both hands carry some rings. And now for the last part, I'm going to add some Abaddon Black in their eyes. So for both Lucius as Draco, because I want to give them a lot of darkness in their eyes. And to do that, you want some dark around the eyes, like an eye shader. You could do it before if you want, before painting the face. I chose to do it afterwards because it's really accessible with these models, I think. But it's a matter of what you prefer and what you're comfortable with. Next, I placed 2 white dots on the left and right side of each eye to create the effect of a pupil. And that way you get this nice dark black brim around the eye and give them a bit of a menacing look. I really like the result. Take your time because this is the most difficult part of the model. And there is the result. Draco and Lucius Malfoy all painted up and ready for the game. Thank you so much for watching again, and I hope to see you in one of my next videos. Bye bye!